sharing our stories connects us. Listen and be connected. Join us for The Conversation, meeting weekly at the intersection of community and culture. Hosted by Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Wednesday. It's noon. This is WMNF 88.5 Tampa. And if you're listening to us, you are about to listen to The Conversation. I'm your host, Mario Nunez. I'm one of your hosts, Mario Nunez, and I'm seated alongside my broadcast partner each and every week, and he is right here, and his name is?
His co-host.
Right, that's
Joe King Carter.
There he is. There he is. Joe,
good afternoon, everybody.
Joey, how are you, pal?
I'm stunning. How are you?
You know what? I'm starting to feel a little bit better. You know, the last couple of weeks have been a little bit dour for this Conversation co-host.
Yes.
And but I feel like things are starting. There's light in the distance. It's very dim.
Yes.
And it's going to take a minute before it becomes a full blaze. But to be sure, I'm a little lighter of heart today. So, you know, when I was getting ready to come into the studio, I was singing. I was dancing.
Good.
I had Pandora going and my disco songs that populate on Pandora.
I'm glad to see my brother back on track.
Yeah. Well, how about you? How you doing?
Same thing. I think that
Right?
I think all of us there was a lot of strange energy out there, and I think that we're beginning to see that we're going to learn how to deal with this and move forward. So
we may feel differently January 20th after we take the oath of office. But here's what I'm going to say about that, and then we're going to move on. I do think that some of the most outrageous and egregious appointments, cabinet appointments, are starting to seek some opposition. Right? They're starting to see a little pushback. So maybe
it's a crack in the dam, isn't it?
Maybe,
I mean, really.
Well, but just maybe we might be understanding that we're not as crazy as we.
I understand the idea. Yeah, I understand the idea of you wanting somebody who's sort of alternative away from big government, but creating a clown car is not really the way to do that. And some of these characters are just. I think it's a crack in the dam. I think a lot of folks in our country are going, "What is happening here?" So yeah.
Yeah, and of course you saw what happened in Seoul, Korea just a day and a half ago, right?
Yes, right.
I mean, things. There is this autocracy that's rearing its ugly head that people are starting to realize, well, maybe that's not a great way to go.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Joey. I'm not going to say any more about that because today in studio joining us is who?
Becky Yeta.
Or is it Yeta or is it Yeta? Can we just discuss that? Becky, welcome to our show.
You can say it however you like. I'm totally fine with Yeta, Yeta, doesn't matter to me.
Because when I hear Yeta, what do I think, Joe? I think yeehaw.
That's the reason I like it.
Yeehaw Junction.
That's the reason I like it. Yeehaw!
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, the Bradenton's in the house.
Yeah, there it is.
Attaboy, Joey. Attaboy.
That's it.
Becky, welcome to our show. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really enjoying talking to you guys again. You know, both of you are close friends, actual real-life friends of mine. So,
for a little bit of time now, too.
And yeah, we've all been close together.
Shall we disclose how we met? Joe, you go first.
How did we meet?
King Corona.
Well, that's true. We met through Ybor City. I met Becky even before that when she was in Ybor City, working down the street. And then she came to King Corona and hung out some. And yeah, so...
Yeah, Joe likes to tell the story that he was the one that got me in King Corona. And then other people have, contested that. But that makes me just my heart feel warm, and that people are fighting over me. That sounds fun.
Well,
I worked at King Corona, and I met Joe before that at Joffrey's, and then I went down to King Corona and started working there, and then Joe and I became fast friends, and we shared deep, important things to our person with each other.
Yes.
And we became friends from that point forward.
Yeah.
And then of course Mario is the wonderful Tampa history sort of guy. So he sits down at the table at King Corona. He had met you guys all separately, and I sit down there, and then Joe's like, "Oh, well, you should talk to Mario." And we both talked about how we wanted to do something with Tampa history. And then Mario eventually invited me to be the technical director on his show, the Tampa Native Show, which I did for 3 years, which was
great. 3 years back.
Yeah, it was a little bit. I would say that was a wonderful experience for me, and I still those are lessons that I still hold very true to this very day.
And I can say this with certitude that when you came on and you joined us, the show took on a whole different level of energy. You brought all of that with you. You knew what you were doing, in the director's booth, but you also had a flair for how set design, and you knew what made us look good. You always were working real hard, putting the gels on the lights and changing the curtains and just, do you remember when we went to that flea market and we bought those metal? I mean, it was just amazing. Whatever we could find,
those things haunt me actually. So I don't want to think about
right,
them. Right,
but
they were very expensive, and then we only used them like once.
I know,
but it was the idea. I thought
these copper panels that
they
really
were amazing.
They reflected the light beautifully in the studio.
They looked great, but we only did it one time
because it was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
But thank you, Becky, for all the years that you dedicated to the Tampa Native Show. And, of course, it's still in production to this day. And we're going to have you back on the show as a guest there so people can finish learning more about what you're doing now. And, you've been a content creator for some time. You've been working on studios and motion pictures, and we'd like to find out more about you. But Joey, you usually start at the beginning of the story, don't you? When our guests are in here, you goes, "Oh, where were you?"
Well, I'd
born?
like to fancy myself the psychiatrist that's
Dale,
going
Joey,
to
dale.
get them on the sofa. But I just want to say about that story about bringing you to King Corona, and we're gonna settle this now.
Okay, fine.
I went to Joffrey's, and I would get my coffee there on 7th Avenue, and I would have these conversations with this person behind the counter, and they immediately became authentic and interesting and powerful and intelligent. And I thought, who is this remarkable young woman anyway? I mean, this is not what I typically expect to have happen. But then again, that's the way human interaction is, right? If you're open, you meet people, and if they're open, a flow occurs, and if the connection is right, it happens. So I went back to King Corona and said to Don Barco, we got to get this person in here. And so she's serving coffee down there. She can serve coffee here. So that was the way I remember that. Okay, so but let's start with the beginning. How about that? Let's go back to whatever you would like to share about where you began in the world and where you grew up. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh, I don't really want to talk about that, but I guess to put some frame on it, it might be important.
Sure. Just the details.
Whatever you'd like to share, Becky.
Oh, just the most important details. That's all. Just
the who, what, when, where, why.
Yeah. Well, we don't need the trauma. We just need to know where you come from.
I mean, let's put it this way. The reason I'm in Tampa is because my immediate family had moved a lot. First because they were in the military, and then because they just like moving to different places. And I found that incredibly disruptive as a child. Mm-hmm. And I'm a very sensitive person, and that was just it was devastating. Every single time it was devastating. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, when you're a kid, especially at that time, they just, what your parents tell you to do, you have to do it, and that's all there is. So when I was, 18 or whatever, trying to make my way as an adult, I decided I'm going to stay in Tampa. This is where I went to high school, and I'm staying here. So I always have to say I'm not from Tampa. People will say, like, where are you from? I can't answer that question in any kind of good way because I was in the military. So I wasn't born in the United States. I was born in Germany in a
Air Force base or military base.
Yeah, military base in Stuttgart. So, and then, we moved around a bunch, and then, but the easiest question would be like, I'm from Minnesota. That's where my heritage is. Like, my extended family is there. Both my parents grew up there. So that Midwestern Minnesota thing is definitely part of who I am. Mm-hmm. But I've been in the South, and if you want to call Florida the South, for like 37 years or something. So this is where I stuck my claim, or staked my claim.
Your claim.
I think
planted your flag.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've really loved living in Tampa, and I enjoy, talking about Tampa and the city of Tampa, because I believe that if you are in a place that you need to commit to being there and love it. I don't like people who live in a place and then complain about it constantly. I think that's dumb. If you don't like it, go somewhere else where you do like it.
100% with you, and we're going to ring the first bell on that comment
I
right
think that's
now.
probably a little annoying
Let's
to everybody,
establish
actually.
that.
Yeah, come on, get with it, yeah.
So I was a thwarted artist, I guess, a blocked artist for a long time, and I got the book The Artist's Way, when I was like 30, and that was life-changing for me.
A great book, by the way.
Great book.
Yes.
And these are the conversations that you and I started having. And
Right.
it's the reason I was in Ybor in the first place, was
Right.
because I wanted to be someplace where that was a little bit more
Artists.
creative. Yeah,
Sure.
that felt creative to me. So I left my job at USF. I had a decent, office job, and I went to be a coffee shop person so that I could enjoy what Ybor had to offer. And that was where I first saw some people that were making a film. I decided I wanted to be a filmmaker, and then some people came into Joffrey's and were looking to dress an alley. And I was like, oh, what are you doing? And they were like, well, we're making a film. And I was like, oh, can I be a part of that? And they were like, well, come and meet us at the corner of blah, blah, blah after your shift. So I went there. This is not the greatest story in the world because those people were terrible, and I'm trying to kind of bury that whole film but it was pivotal for me because it was my first film.
effort. Yeah, first effort.
And it was awful, but in many ways, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time. As much as there was pain, it was also amazing.
And by the way, let me just say, you do understand that most people who are making coffee in a coffee shop would not say to a film crew in an alley, hey, can I be a part of this? That right there speaks to how I see you as a kind of person, that you are always kind of grabbing onto these little adventures that change you. So go ahead.
Well, the blocked artist period is important because that pain, and it is a pain that never goes away, just irritated me on a soul level in a way it's difficult to explain. But I remember that pain. And so every time I do something, it's because it's painful to ask, it's painful to put yourself out there, but it's a lot less painful than that irritating, I'm never getting anything I want out of life pain that I've experienced as a blocked artist.
Yes.
So I tend to say yes now.
Right.
But I'm very clear about what I want. So it looks like I'm just jumping at things, but I have thought a great deal about what it is I'm trying to do with my life and what I want. And so when the opportunity comes, it looks like I'm just like, yeah, I'm grabbing that and I'm going to do that. But I've thought about it quite a bit before that happens. And the Artist Way and the practices of the Artist Way have really been the thing that has helped me, even to this very day, which is basically about morning pages. I don't know if you want to talk about morning pages. But.
And we will.
Whatever you would like to talk about.
Yeah, that's what you're here for today.
What I hear you saying is, in a deeper level of that, you've always been in the growth process.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just something that I find attractive in people when they're like that, because it's positive. It makes you want to be around them. So let's just for a moment. So you're in Tampa. You were working at USF. You give up that job. You haven't really yet been an artist in any presentational way in the world, but now it's in there.
She's very attracted to it.
The storm is sort of brewing inside that you are going to be an artist somehow. You're going to make that happen. So you work on this film. What happens next?
So we did this film. It was supposed to take 6 weeks. It took 6 months. It was like in this amazing abandoned warehouse off of West Shore called Westinghouse, and it was like kind of like 5 stories tall, the size of a football field inside, and had these amazing like pits with like concrete rebar sticking up, and there's no lights. It was abandoned, so which I love apparently. I didn't know,
That building was there for a long time
rusty, dusty, like old equipment, and like the hallways at the imagery is just amazing. It'd make a great horror film. But I, at that time, had not really gotten into any kind of horror because I'm a scaredy cat, so I didn't watch horror films. But all the guys that I worked with were all into horror films, and they were also all into comic books. And I didn't know this. Apparently, it's a very common film thing, horror and comic books. So I was like, oh, interesting. And I got to build sets on the film. And I did basically everything there was to do. And I was really the general, which is the UPM, which is what they told me I would get as a credit.
UPN?
UPM.
Which is?
unit production manager.
Okay.
Which
And
is
did
like,
you get the
That was
credit?
for our audience, so
Hell
they'll
no,
know.
I did
yeah.
not get
And
the
she
credit.
didn't get the credit.
I didn't.
Hence, she doesn't want to remember that anything having to do with this.
It was again devastating. It took me like 10 years to get over this.
And this was your first foray into really filmmaking. So,
But
yeah.
it was really hard on
Sure.
me. But one of the things that happened was that the Punisher was being, the pre-production on the Punisher was being done at that time. And one of the locations managers came through the Westinghouse building, saw the sets that I built. And everyone was all excited, and they were all, oh, we're going to get on the Punisher. I was the only one that got on the Punisher.
Hey.
And part of the reason was that, that's kind of a funny story. I don't know if you want to hear that one.
Sure.
Of course.
So the Punisher office was on Harbor Island. This was before there was an aquarium on the corner of, and there was just a road that went past.
Right.
Channel side wasn't anything yet.
Channel side wasn't anything. So, and I worked in Ybor and drove, I lived in South Tampa, so I drove up there. So I would just stop by the office. Well, the first time we stopped there, we all went together. And we went with the one guy that was the total, a-hole of the group who went in there and started like strutting and acting like he was the bomb and really treating this poor secretary woman that was in the front of the
Production
office
trailer, sure.
terribly. And we were all like, we're not with him, although we clearly were with him because we came with him. But it was really embarrassing for all of us. And we all put our resumes down and we left kind of embarrassed because this guy was such a jerk to the lady. So then I was like, okay, I've got to make this better. So
you went back.
I went back.
As Becky would do.
And talked to the lady, and I was like, hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry that happened. And, I'm really cool, and I'm not like that. And it turns out that I was the only one that had a resume that was worth anything because I had more than just film on there. I had office experience. And so somebody got fired, and then everybody moved up the line, and then I got the office production assistant job. So they called me in and they were like, we'd like to hire you for this office production. I was like, oh, I'd love to, but I had a job and I was like, I have to give them 2 weeks because this is what I was used to. Oh, you have to give them 2 weeks. And they were literally calling people as I'm walking out of the building.
Next man
I
up.
Called my boss this was at King Corona. And I called, Don and Brenda. I'm sure it was Brenda that I spoke to, and it was like, hey, this is what's happening. I got to take this job right now, like now. Or I won't get it. And they said, yes, you can take it, and we'll invite you to come back, which is one of the sweetest things that's ever happened to me.
Of course.
The Barcos.
Yeah,
of course.
in an employee situation
Yes.
in my life. So I literally started working that day. I went home, got my computer, came back, started working. And then eventually, of course, the reason I wanted to be on that at all was because of Gail Ann Hurd, because I knew her, I'd seen her, and I was like, oh, she's going to be amazing. But I didn't get to talk to her. She would just walk past and go down the hallway.
And for our audience, tell us who Gail Ann Hurd is.
Gail Ann Hurd is she was a Roger Corman employee who was brought up through his organization to be a producer. She and James Cameron made The Terminator. She was a co-writer on The Terminator.
Right.
And then she became the producer on all the Terminators and then all of the Alien series and quite a few other things. And currently she just did the Walking Dead. So I don't know if that's current, but it was a pretty big deal, I think.
Of course.
Right.
So
those are 3 big franchises.
Huge franchises. And also the kind of work that I liked, not like what I thought women did in filmmaking is like documentaries or like something other than
maybe a little rom-com action, something
like that, not necessarily science fiction or action, which is where I thought was interesting. That's where I wanted to be. So she was the woman that was doing that. She wasn't a director, but she was a producer. And anyway, I got to be her assistant by the end. So that was really great.
And when we met you back when you joined us at the Tampa Native Show, it was kind of shortly thereafter, I think, that experience for you, because I remember it was something front of mind with you. You were talking about it. You had just finished being on that set. You were excited. It was one of those things that really made an impact on you. Was it the first time that you had a chance to see an actual major motion picture set?
Yeah, that's the first and
with big
last
budget
movie I've worked on, and that. So it was a very well run film set, and it was contrasted to the last one that I did. Excellently run. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
You know, you do it right. It's done correctly.
There's a process.
There's multiple processes, you
Correct.
know, and obviously because I worked in the office part first, I got to see how all of
Admin, the paper gets shuffled.
how that works, because there's reporting and things that you have to do. So it's not just, you know, it's like a logistics. It's logistics.
When we sit there and we watch the credits roll at the end of a motion picture, you know, we probably lose interest after we see the main protagonist and all the main featured actors. But it's the stuff that where the magic happens is all those names that come afterwards. The clerical staff, the people, like you say, that pay the bills, you know, the gaffers, the grips, all the workers that actually build the sets. It's just quite an elaborative process.
It's a lot. It's a lot, yeah. But if you want to, I'd love to talk about where you think film and video media is going.
We would love to talk about that. Let's do this little ID here at the bottom of the hour, and then we'll come back and flesh that conversation out, because that, I think the early part of your career working in the business is what has inspired you to do what you're doing now in media and content creation. So let's listen to this, and we'll be right back with Becky Yatta, everybody.
Hi, I'm Tom Fillion, and you're listening to The Conversation with Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter on WMNF 88.5, Tampa, Florida.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom, for that wonderful break there.
Yeah.
And again, if you'd like to join us here on The Conversation, you can. You can call us at 813-239-9663. You can always send us a text at 813-433-0885. Emails are welcomed also. We've got Jessica standing by to read your emails for us, dj@WMNF.org. And if you're just joining us, we are graced in studio today by our dear friend Becky Yatta, and she has a compelling story of coming to Tampa, falling in love with Tampa, and continuing to pursue her passion, which is all things media content creation. So, Beck, just before the break, you were going to tell us a little bit about where you think media might be headed here in the next corner, around the next 5 to 10 years.
And in addition to that, at some point, I'd like to talk a little bit about this thing you touched on earlier about women in your field and how you feel about that. But go ahead and just let it flow.
Well, so I've been thinking a lot about, like, well, what's happening in video and television, like film, television, like, you know, we can just call it video, because we're not really making things on film rarely anymore. But you got movies, you got television, then you have social media, and there's a whole bunch of different platforms now massively into video. So every single one of those platforms is into this video, right? Video being these short form
TikTok
videos.
comes to mind.
TikTok, but they're all copying TikTok.
Sure.
And the reason is because it is so addictive. And once they saw the numbers on TikTok, they were like, oh, well, we all have to do this. So YouTube does it, Facebook does it, Instagram does it. They call it different things, but it's the same thing. It's short form, little videos. So my thoughts were, wow, you know, people are working so hard to make these. Like, it's hard work to make one little video. Mm-hmm. And especially, like, if it's a dancing thing, how many times did they do the dance before they got the right video, right?
And the editing involved is
then they have
complex
to edit
as well.
It. Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, there's different ways you can do it on your phone that's a little bit easier. But these kids, young adults, people that are creating this content are all working really hard to create this content that typically in the past was only professionals that did that work. So professionals who got paid to do that work. Mm-hmm. So now people are doing that work for nothing. A lot of people are doing this video work for nothing.
Hoping to be discovered back, or hoping that somebody will take a flyer and pay them to do this?
Well,
or?
if you can get paid on social media, the platform will pay you if you get enough views. So,
YouTube, for example.
Yeah, YouTube, TikTok, all of them. They'll pay you. They give you a little bit.
Right.
But it's a very small amount. So they are advertising. It's the same model as television, which is
advertising dollars.
First, keep you engaged with video.
Eyeballs.
Yeah, your eyeballs. Eyeballs on the screen is what they are trying to do. And then you advertise to them in the middle of that, so that, and you do it in such a way that they can't get away from it. That you sneak it in
Right.
there, different sides.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here comes, or now you can skip the ad.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's not even a commercial. Like you
Right.
don't know you're being advertised to, because the girl that's sitting there in front of the thing talking about blah 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 is an influencer who's being paid. That's advertisement. So if and television got killed by Netflix.
Right.
They literally went out of their way to kill television on purpose. Like they took people away from it with the thought that you wouldn't have to listen to ads. But now
Right.
they brought the
ads are
advertising
right back.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, you just took an institution that's been working perfectly fine
For 70 years.
70 years. It's been created, and we've had a huge. People have talked about the new age of television, which was like 10, 15 years ago or 20 years ago now. What's going to happen next? Because people don't really watch television necessarily.
There are no more TVs, Beck. They're just monitors now.
Yeah.
That's all they
Right.
are. We can't call them TVs because they're monitors that will project anything that you put through them, patch with a patch cord.
And
Right.
and you can watch YouTube on it, just like
Correct.
on your phone.
Correct.
So YouTube is television.
Right.
That's
Hard for the old timers to make that
scary,
leap
though.
of faith.
That's scary because that means that. So there was a video recently. This girl who has a major following, she made, it's a young woman, she made a video about the Star Wars Hotel in Orlando, and it got like 10 million views. It's 4 hours long, and it got 10 million views. Absorb that for a second. That means that people are...
We're there, engaged
They
for
are
4
watching
hours.
this content that this
Right.
girl put out, who is recording this in her bedroom by herself with a single camera. Now she's doing the best she can. She puts some lights on, it's not terrible. It's great. It's good video, and she spent a lot of time editing it, and she wrote it. It's very well done. But my point is, that would have been a production that a TV person would have been done on a major level at a TV studio.
With the studio, sure.
Right.
Studio backing.
They would have been thrilled to get that many eyeballs on it. Now this girl is just being able to do that. Is she being compensated to the level that she has brought the attention to it? I don't think so. And that's what's happening now. So the corporations are taking the energy away from the institutions that we have had in the past and not paying as much. So I don't really know what's going to happen with video and film, because what are we going to do?
And we
It's
haven't
sort
even
of-
got into AI yet, bro.
Well, yeah, it's
We
sort
haven't
of
even talked about that.
fascinating. I think it's interesting. What you're hitting on, Becky, is really interesting to me, because it always we in our society see this over and over again. We keep continuing to return to the idea that somehow a labor, a product, a market, an effort is made. It's made by, if we will call them little people or medium people, and then the big fish come in and eat it. And this has happened. It happened in the music industry. It's all about these huge numbers that people want to achieve, right?
No doubt.
The tobacco industry,
The
bought
eyeballs,
up-
the ears, as it were.
the tobacco industry buys up the processed food industry. You know that most of your processed food right now is being made by the tobacco industry.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, no, just go look this up. And it's fascinating, because they found out that things like salt and sugar and high fructose, that
Makes
these
you wanna
things can
smoke.
addict people,
Yeah. Right.
just as nicotine was addicting people. Now we're finding out that the people that create...
It's all about addiction.
people that create different kinds of content for your phone and social media content, they understand the addiction process
they
in
do.
your brain.
And they do it on purpose.
Because you want likes. I got to have likes. I got to have likes. So what you're addressing is what is happening because there's always going to have to be content.
We
Who's
love
gonna
it. We love content.
We
love it.
have to have it.
So
Mario
let
needs to say
let me say this about that, as one famous politician once said. Becky hit on something earlier. It's compensation for the content that you're creating,
Right.
And in some cases, it doesn't materialize unless you really, really got something good,
Right.
and you can captivate those eyeballs. Well, that's a conversation that we need to flesh out here sooner rather than later, because people listen to us every week, and some people are engaged. We know they're listening. Tito Rossetti's out there listening right now. Jeff Call was just watching us on YouTube, so we know people are engaged with us. Maybe Becky would like to take this show with us and put us on the YouTubes. I'm just saying. Let's ring a bell for on the YouTubes.
I think Becky's way ahead of you.
The conversation on the YouTubes would be amazing. They get to see us then.
But I'm curious.
We have talked about this
because we are visual people.
Let's talk about this after the show.
All right,
we have talked about this. I've pressured you many times. I'm like,
yes,
you need to be on YouTube. Absolutely, you have to be on YouTube.
You have done that, Becky.
Yeah.
And I've been slow to the party.
But no,
Yeah.
it's fine. I love what you're doing. I love that you keep going and you've spread out your
my footprint a little bit
more, and I love that, and that's wonderful. So
but
Thank
where
you for
would
that,
so as the professional on this topic, what is your guess of where you think content management and growth is going to come from in the future?
compensation?
So let me just back up a little bit. So
Sure.
you guys when you started the show, you were talking about, I'm going to infer that you're talking about your feelings about the tragedy that has just happened to our country, blah, blah, blah. And I'm talking to you about now the sadness that's happening in the industry that I'm in, and framing it in a kind of a negative way. But let me reframe this. And by framing, I mean that on purpose, because it's all in a frame.
Right. It's in a frame.
How you frame it is what matters. And what comes into, like in video, whatever's in front of the camera, that's what matters. Whatever's not in front of the camera doesn't matter. So we can look at that as our view of the world. So, perception is reality. So it makes us feel bad when we think about changes and we see the negative consequences of those changes. But my personal feeling is, don't concentrate on that. Concentrate on what you can do, what is within your power to do, what you're looking to achieve, and keep that in the focus of your mind at all times. And don't worry about the negative stuff. Because as we've seen, if you take a long view of the world, like a really long view, like back up, to go way back, and you start seeing, wow, we're living in this amazing time. Like, we do have video capability, that young lady was able to make a video that was informative, that we all loved. She wouldn't have been able to do that, 20 years ago in any real way. So there's amazing things happening out there, and we need to focus our attention on, or I need to focus my attention on, what I can do with what we have. So my thoughts about what is going to happen in the future with video is, I think we're going to have to, we have shorter attention spans, so you have to address that. Well, it is what it is.
Yes.
You have to address that. And I do believe we can still do series, because I think series is the way to go. And similar to like a Dickens thing, where you put out a little bit every week or every month or whatever, to keep people watching it. But of course, what people are going to do is just binge all of it.
My main man, Charles Dickens, by the way, but an incredible writer, incredible author of all of his work, by the way. And he understood this episodic, which was used for newspapers at the time, but
and later novels.
But it still works today, because you
The
want to see
cliffhanger,
what's
the
happening
cliffhanger.
next.
Cliffhanger.
It's what keeps us coming back.
Yeah, and then you can make shorter pieces of video and put that on, do those, as a short, as a reel, as a TikTok, to get people
The
from
magic
one
of editing.
platform.
At that point, it becomes the magic of editing.
Yeah, to take that from one platform to another. So, just taking what we have and getting the most out of it, which is my strength, really.
And there's also a possibility that we could thwart all of this negativity by becoming proactive, right? Like, just, don't wallow in it. Get up and kind of move and make something happen. And because we all have a phone and we all have capability, we can be citizen journalists in a way. We can be
absolutely.
the eyes and ears. And it doesn't take anything to upload that onto the internet. So, do what you can from where you can. Start from where you are and move forward, I guess is what you're saying, Beck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying it in a political sense, in a cause sense. I don't think like that. I think like
Artistically more so, right?
I'm thinking about creative, what I want to say creatively, which doesn't seem like, I spent a lot of time realizing that has value. It has immense value. Like we were just talking about Dickens. Well, Dickens was talking about the things I want to talk about, which is like class differences, about how wealth disparity hurts people on both sides, and
Right.
just about human beings and how they interact with the world. But it gives you a great sense of like what's actually happening in terms of class and wealth, and just different types of people. That's where I'm fascinated with that.
So let me just say that, and I don't have, as you can both see, I'm not writing anything down on paper in front of me. Here's what I've heard you say. People who stay in Tampa and complain about it, I don't get it, number one. Number two, perception is reality.
Perception is reality.
You and I and Buddha, we all agree on this point, right? Perception is reality. Number three, what you're really saying is that you have to attach yourself to the positive.
You have to, yeah.
Because what I see happening is that you either, in life, you learn this lesson that either you participate or you stand by and watch. Those are the two positions. There is no third position. You must participate or stand by. And when you stand by, a whole lot of negative things happen for you personally and for your general community. So what we are talking about is a very positive outlook on creativity of content in the future. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I think that storytelling is one of the great qualities of human beings.
Of course it is.
It is. Our storytelling is who we are. If there are billions of civilizations out there in the universe, I'll bet you that Earth is known as the planet of the storytellers, because that's who we are. We're constantly telling stories to each other. We see our lives as stories.
It's how history was first recorded, Joe.
Everything, yes. We are storytellers.
Before we even figured out how to write things down, we were telling each other.
But in this day and age where fewer and fewer people are reading books
or writing cursive,
the media person like Becky, the person that can pull together content to tell the story, well, that's the people that we have to look to now. So.
Well, and that's never going to go away. It's because it is human nature.
Right.
We love stories. We absolutely pay attention to stories. That's how our brains are wired.
Right.
So we know that storytelling's not going away. So
the better the story, the better the experience overall.
I think of myself as a strategic thinker. I try to. I think of, well, what do I want? What do I want to have happen? And then figure out a way to make that happen.
I always found that what you used to do, the exercise you used to do, and I'm sure you're probably still doing it because it's a part of your daily activities now. The morning pages that you used to do back, remember when you'd get up and purposefully get up and write and just kind of a stream of consciousness and let those thoughts just flow through you. Are you still doing that? And please share it with our audience, because I always found that to be very cathartic and fascinating and inspiring.
That's from the book, The Artist's Way. It's one of her tools of how to unblock as an artist, which is, basically you get up in the morning and you write 3 pages. That's really literally all there is. It doesn't matter what it is that you're writing. It's not a journal. You're not trying to capture the essence of the day or the time, even though you might do that. It's not a to-do list, even though you might write about what you're doing. It's not even an emotional thing necessarily. Sometimes it's really boring. But what it does is it helps me to clarify what I want. You have to know what you want. That's not an easy question. It's not easy to say, what do you want in life? Because we're getting...
Most everybody just says, I want to be happy. I want to be happy and healthy.
Which is...
Wow, that's generic.
And how are you going to measure that?
Yeah, there you go.
How are you going to achieve that? Because, happiness is a state of mind. So, you could be happy at any time. That's not really a good goal necessarily. Mm-hmm. And also, feelings are transitory. So, to achieve a feeling state is not a good goal.
Because it's fleeting. It goes right by. It goes right by.
It goes right by. But we all know basically what it takes to make a happy person, which is that your body and your health is in good condition.
Sometimes alcohol.
That your emotional relationships are in good condition, and that your achievement, creative, place in the world, feelings are being addressed. Mm-hmm. So if you have those things addressed, you're going to be a relatively happy person. So
that's validation you're speaking of. That's validation.
Right.
You know, like you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path. I don't think there's a meter for that. You know, you can't plug in and say, and you see the needle move, but that's a sense you get to, you know that.
But one of the things the morning pages do is they help you to sift through various things and decide how you do feel about it, and clarify where you want to go, and it's magical. Like, it is magical. Like, things will just drop into you, be like, I wonder if blah 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 blah. Never thought of that before, but now you've given yourself time because you've gotten rid of all the crap that's in the flotsam and jetsam of the mind. You know,
noise.
Just sitting there on top of your
Yes.
your
Love
head.
that expression.
You've gotten
Yes.
that away so that now you can drop down into the more, well, what am I thinking? What am I doing? What is what I'm doing in my life, achieving the goals that I've set out for myself? And what could I do to change that? And that's why it's so powerful, because that's why I'm able to somebody comes along with an opportunity and I just grab it, because I know that's where I want to be.
Clarity.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so powerful.
How many boxes of Morning Pages spiral notebooks do you have in the apartment?
I have like five.
Yeah.
5 big boxes.
Of course.
I've never been able to get rid of them.
No, you've got the spiral notebooks on auto ship. They come to your house every month.
What I'm going to do someday is
Publish some of that.
Someday I want to make like a video about, or a movie or series or something about my life, and talk about this sort of, there are some like deep emotional things that I have not covered and I'm not going to cover that would be great content. I'm just terrified to do it. So I have to be like at the right
Yes.
place. You know, it's real personal.
I understand
Of
that.
course, of course.
Yes,
Well, Joe's been
yes.
through it here. Joe shared with our audience, you know, the experience he had most recently. Where he
I've been
discovered-
writing about my family,
Yeah.
and of course, at the very core of that is tremendous trauma.
Absolutely.
And unearthing that and writing about it is not. It's maybe the hardest thing that I've ever tried to do. So,
Your dear friends can attest to that, Joey. Your dear friends that know what you went through can attest to that.
The other thing is that you're addressing is, so you're sort of saying that we all need, I think that we all need kind of a touchstone. And the way to get to that is to get rid of all the noise, all the flotsam and jetsam.
Now, is it flotsam or flotsam? Come on, let's
It's
discuss.
flotsam.
Flotsam.
Okay, I got to go with flotsam.
Yeah, it's flotsam and jetsam.
I've been saying it wrong all these years.
So
That's out of Lord of the Rings. That's literally a chapter.
Thank you.
of Lord of the
yeah,
Rings.
but you have to get rid of all that, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. But what that does is it brings you back to your truest intention, because if you are completely floating in a sea of vibrational noise, then what happens is you become like a ball in a pinball, and you're just getting knocked around all day,
Yeah.
and you're not really in control of your movement. So whether it's meditation or pages or whatever it is, there has to be this way to get to that place. And then when you have intention clarified, you can actually do something. A life-changing concept for me was the idea that everything around us that's not from nature is human-made. Everything that's human-made started as an idea. It had to start as an idea. And from the idea, it becomes word, and from word, it becomes act. And that's really how we function in the world.
You never read Think and Grow Rich, right?
I don't think so, no.
That's Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is thoughts are things.
Thoughts are things.
Thoughts
Ideas
are
become things. Yeah.
Yeah.
The secret, too. The secret is kind of
Oh,
like
I have
that.
no doubt that thoughts are things. I'm
Yeah.
very aware of that.
Yeah, that's how that
But
works.
sometimes those thoughts that you say, Joe, and that was a wonderful little encapsulation, is we get our inspiration from nature. So it's cyclical. It's circular.
Oh, it can be, certainly.
Nature is will provide all of it for us.
Yes.
Whether it's something that leads us to art or health because of medicine that we get
Right.
from.
Correct.
So it's. I think Mother Nature provides us with everything that we need.
I think, what he was trying to say though was that that we're perceiving the world as human built helps us to realize that we can build things too. Like we get
Right.
to do that. I think that's where he was
And make
going
things
with
Yes,
better.
yes.
Yeah, like
and we can
don't-
make things better.
We can.
Yes.
We can. Somebody made it. We
Ultimately.
can also make something else to to
Absolutely.
deal with it or whatever.
Which is how I see you, Becky, because you are a person that has always attached yourself to these positive moments of growth. I mean, that's what you're doing. So let's talk a little bit about. We've been talking. We got sort of into this thing about film, movies, and video and media, and we didn't, like you said, we didn't touch on AI.
Are we going back to her barista days?
God help
Making
us.
that good cup of coffee?
God help us on what the future may bring in that department. But the point is, what are you in the future? What you have some pet projects that you'd like to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Dickens line was not out of nowhere.
What's next for Becky? Come on.
Yeah.
I want to do
How can we
a
help you?
series that is loosely based on Dickens' last novel, which is Our Mutual Friend, and frame it around that and have vampires in it somehow. So,
Because you know why, Beck? Can I say this? Vampires will always play.
Yeah.
We have an obsession in our
We
culture
do.
Yeah.
with vampires. You know why? Because they don't die. And you know what else we know about vampires? They party like nobody we know.
They symbolize a lot of things.
I watched like a bunch of YouTube movies. There's a bunch of movies of vampire movies on YouTube. I just watched a whole series of them, and one of them was a guy who was talking about vampires, and he did a good job of explaining what it is that we like about them so much. First of all, they're attractive to teenagers because they're
Counterculture.
Yeah, they're counterculture. They're like they're rubbing against the norm, and they're sort of outside of the norm. You know, like they hold themselves outside of the regular life, and it's sex from the neck up. So you get.
We've all seen, what was it, Blood? The series that was on, was it HBO? Somebody yelled it out at me. Bloodthirst or Bloodthirst. You know, it was a series on Netflix. Somebody's out there yelling at their radio right now, and I can't hear you. And they're letting me know what it is. But it was all about that. And those vampires were having sex.
Correct?
They were having sex on every episode.
It never ends. Vampires are very, very interesting, very exciting.
Even Tom Cruise
handsome
made a vampire movie. I mean, come on.
He was in a vampire movie.
He was in a vampire movie. I
Number
should say.
one Halloween costume, always Dracula. And let me go ahead and just say this about that, because this is a phrase that everybody knows. Permit me to introduce myself.
Well,
My name is
I
Bella.
watched a whole thing about Bela
Permit me,
Lugosi.
of course.
And Bela Lugosi and his amazing performance, and how
white.
hard that he worked to do that performance. He really, really worked hard at at creating the eyebrows and the face, and he didn't get much lines, so he would like add things with his face and with his breath and things like that. It was amazing work. But yeah,
So this
vampires never
project-
end. So I've got to add a vampire somehow into this Dickens book.
Come on.
So I've been thinking, I wanted to do a black vampire because my first movie was a black vampire movie, and it got.
Can his name be Mario?
Well,
It
you know, but
works.
you're not a black, but
But it works. I know a couple of Marios that are African American.
After like watching this Bela Lugosi thing, I'm like, I don't know. So I've been going back and forth on. I kind of feel like it needs to be European person of some sort,
course.
because that's
Romanian.
That's how we think of
Yeah,
it.
Transylvania,
But also
Transylvania.
like the idea of generational wealth, and how somebody who's been alive or around long enough will just
Interesting.
be wealthy.
Right.
Because
Because
You
you've
just
been
get
here for
good at it.
400 years.
Yeah.
because you
You accumulate, you acquire.
You accumulate,
You
yeah.
get good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
At
And-
capitalism.
Yeah, and plus they can kill people. Like they can kill people and take their stuff. So, you know what I mean? That's the power.
That's great.
You can get rich that way.
I see a lot of creativity in that.
but that kind of means it has to be a white person, doesn't it? I don't know.
No,
in my mind,
yeah.
like,
Well,
how do you make a black person into that role? But you guys tell me if you think I'm.
He could be
crazy
Bohemian, though. He could be Bohemian.
for thinking this or whatever.
He could have a little
what you guys
melanin in
think
his-
out there in
Yeah, if you'd
in
like
the
to
internet. Tell me
weigh
what
in,
you
we've got
think.
about 5 minutes left in the show, maybe 10. This would be a good time for me to give you the call number, because Becky has just made a request. 813-239-9663. You can send us a text, 813-433-0885. Jessica standing by waiting for your email, dj@wmnf.org. Jess, do you have something you want to read to us?
Mary Crouch says that your Netflix series was True Blood.
Thank you.
There we
Thank
go,
you,
True
Mary. Thank you. She was screaming
Thank you,
at
Mary.
us.
We
Thank
knew-
you,
we knew
Mary.
somebody would answer
Yeah,
that
True
question.
Blood.
Yeah. So you
And
are.
it was great, by the way.
But going back to this thing about people making content for free is, how are we going to make expensive content? And should we even try? Like the big, because whenever I watch something, I'll put it on my one screen and then I'll get the little screen and I'm doing stuff on my phone, right? So I'm totally ignoring the video, right? They've spent millions of dollars making that, and I'm not even looking at it.
Right.
Joey, I have a question for Beck. I know you do too. Can I throw mine in there real quick?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick,
Okay.
she said that there's kind of an egalitarian approach to all this, because what's happening is, what you're sort of saying is that a person can sit in the bedroom of a hotel and make a video, and a person and an agency, a group, a thing can spend millions of dollars on a video over here, and they both can have similar
Literally
impact.
play on the same screen.
So what does it tell us? It's almost a reflection. I mean, here I'm going crazy, but it's almost a reflection of like society at large, because we have now the content creators that are doing things for next to nothing and getting compensated next to nothing.
Right.
And then we have also motion pictures. Motion pictures have gone back to now 3 and 4 hour epics where you have intermissions and billions of dollars spent on franchise or motion pictures. And it's kind of like what our society is at large, where we have people that have everything and the people that have nothing. And it's kind of a reflection of that. I mean,
That's a good
it just came to me. Just, I don't know. I'll ring a bell for
Yeah,
myself
good
on that
job.
one. But you know what I mean, though,
yeah,
Beck?
no, that's really good.
Because
thoughts.
either you're with a 3 hour epic motion picture with the unlimited budget, or you're in your hotel room doing this. So where's the sweet spot?
Yeah.
I mean, there's still got to be room for good storytelling. That's where we
right.
need to go back.
And where's the middle class?
Well,
Where's the
have
middle?
you,
Where's
yeah.
the sweet
have you
Where's
heard
the
of
middle class?
Mumblecore? It's not really I don't know if it's a thing now, but it was a thing. You know what Mumblecore is?
No, please elaborate.
It is a type of filmmaking that I guess more actor-led filmmaking, where they just basically didn't use any lights. They call it
So
Mumblecore
it's
because they didn't
acting.
use
It's acting.
real microphones and stuff.
Oh.
So they're just taking a camera and using the actors with like no set, no anything, and there's a whole like film festivals based on this. So you remember Greta Gershwin?
Yes.
Lady Bird. She comes from the Mumblecore
That genre.
filmmaking style. That's what it is. It's like people taking it upon themselves to make a film that doesn't have any money
Explain to
spent
those
on
of
it.
us. Explain to those of us that don't know what it is. What Tubi is?
Tubi is a streaming channel. Like when Netflix did this thing where they took everybody away from television and started streaming, everybody was like, oh, that's what we should do. And then everyone copied that. So now there's a bazillion streaming channels out there. Tubi is one of them. But you can actually put your film, like you can make a film.
That's what I said. It's a short
put
little
it on
video,
there.
right? So it's an open platform for people. Come on. If you think you've got the chops, submit yours. And if a jury's in, you can be on Tubi.
Yeah, and you can play your movie and get paid for it, apparently. So
let me ask you then,
Looks like he's-
and what you were addressing was really how Roger Corman started. Roger Corman started with these. I'm a huge Roger Corman fan, by the way. With these low budget films that he paid almost, very little for.
I would love to know more about Roger Corman, but I kind of want to be Roger Corman.
Yes, yeah.
That's what I would love to be.
Yes.
Because his method was to get a film financed, then make the film and it would absolutely certainly have a profit. So this was the key component, that he would be under budget and create a profit. Then he would go back to those same investors and with the profit and say, I'd like 2 movies now. So then he would make 2 movies. So he kept it rolling. You see what I mean? So,
right.
And because he was constantly making movies, he had a staff. The staff was people who were all young, bright people working really hard to make these films.
The Hallmark Channel.
That was where
The Hallmark
James
Channel.
Cameron came from. That's where Gale Ann Hurd came from.
Right.
I can't remember the rest, but there's like a bunch of people that all came from the Roger Corman school of filmmaking.
Yeah, he
Not
has
that he
a-
had a school, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Right.
of course.
He has a mark. He has a position in the history of independent filmmaking in America, because he made these movies that some would consider these B trash movies, but they
he
are
picked-
amazing
He picked
movies.
specifically movies that people wanted.
Right.
So he's listening to the audience. That's a key component, and that could be made for cheap.
Right. Right.
Becky, we're up against the clock, and this hour has just evaporated
I knew it
on
was
us.
going to.
You know, it always does. It always does, and the conversation just starts to gain traction.
You know, if
And
we're
I'll-
on YouTube, we could go forever.
Listen, we're
there we
going to
go.
be. Listen, there's a little segue there. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Thank you, Beck. Thanks for coming in today. Was there anything that you didn't get to say in the next couple of seconds that you might like to?
I just want to give a little
thank you?
shout out to
Sure.
TBCN, because we are going to be airing this show. We were recording it on video, and we're going to air it on TBCN. I've been very lucky to be invited to work with them again. I've been kind of off and on working with them for like 20 years.
That's Tampa Bay Community Network, everybody,
Yes.
for those that don't know what
And
TBCN is.
thank you for you and Cedric coming in and doing all this video
Cedric on the
work.
cameras.
Yes, on the video work today. It's been an interesting experience. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
We are The Conversation. We are here every Wednesday at noon, WMNF.org, WMNF 88.5. Thank you to all of our listeners. Thank you to Mary for setting us straight on that, on our vampire love story that we missed the title to. But thank you, Becky, for coming in. We love you. Thank you, Beck.
I love you guys too.
All right.
You're
Thanks.
listening to Tampa, WMNF Radio Tampa.